Hi all, just a quick message from me before the episode begins. My main microphone wasn't working, therefore I've had to use the backup. It's not as good quality. I do appreciate this, but thank you so much for listening. It should be back to normal next week. Enjoy this week's episode. It's that time of the week to get your geeky fix on. Hello and welcome back to Chat TPK, a podcast with killer conversation all about geek culture. It's me, Mike, and welcome back to any listeners of our previous episodes, as well as those that are tuning in for the first time, who are looking for a podcast about D&D, video games, and geeky TV shows and films. Chat TPK has you covered. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and now even YouTube, so be sure to follow, like, and subscribe to us on all the platforms that suit you best. On today's show, we'll be discussing what makes a good video game adaptation for film and TV, with myself and my panel offering up our best recommendations, as well as ones to avoid. And finally, we'll be giving you the latest updates in the world of games, TV, and film with June's edition of Release Window. Now, being a teacher by day, I'm certainly used to the sound of my own voice, so it's probably best that I introduce my two guests for this episode. Welcoming back to the podcast after a triumphant victory in his last one is Alec. Good afternoon or good evening, Alec. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. You?
Yeah, all good, my friend. All good.
Looking forward to another glorious day of battle with Joe.
Yeah, all right.
Glorious day in battle with Joe. Oh my goodness. Well, we won't be having any quiz time this week, so there's nothing to really get super competitive over, but it's good to have you both. Thank you so much for appearing on our most recent podcast, or I think it was actually episode 2, wasn't it? About Fallout. So thank you for that. It went really, really well. I thought both of you brought a lot of experience and expertise to the table. But I'm going to need it today, gentlemen, because we're going to be looking at how computer games or video games have been made into either some really, really good adapted TV and films or some really, really bad ones. Okay? Who would like to begin our little deep dive into this discussion today?
The champ can go first.
That's not a terrible idea. Okay, right.
What do you want? Do you want a bad one or a good one first?
I'm easy. Well, it's always probably good to end on a high note.
I'll swing with both bats then, right? So I think the really obvious, most recent one that didn't hit for me, but that has, in my opinion, a better hit in the past is Halo.
I was going to say something similar because it was released, within the last year or so. It's had 2 series now, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's in there, Series 2, now, yeah.
I thought Series 2 was better than the first, but yeah, I would agree. Series 1 wasn't great. It really wasn't very good.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, the thing they should have done, they didn't, was they should have played it like very Mandalorian-esque, and he just never takes off the helmet the entire show, essentially.
That did get a bit of criticism from the fans, or so I saw. I didn't have a massive issue with it, but I can see why you did, because in the games he doesn't really do that, does he? So fair play. In terms of the storyline, because I know, Alec, you're a bit of a Halo buff. You've read a lot of the books, and I've read quite a few of them as well. But did it have a storyline that you were familiar with? Because for me, it was so different, in fact, that I kept questioning my own knowledge on the actual canon.
Yeah, no, like it's very much a story based upon, isn't it, essentially, rather than actually canonical in any sense. I don't actually know whether or not they state that it's canonical.
I think I've seen some stories saying it's not. They've taken it their own sort of direction. There's some like timeline events that are similar to the actual books and the games, but I mean the 3 Spartans that he's with are not mentioned in any of the books. So
yeah, and like, there's so many good characters to pick from in those books for other Spartans as well that like fit with the direction of like TV and probably what they wanted to do anyway. So it seems a bit bizarre to not draw upon that.
Yeah. So we're saying that Halo as an adaptation was bad?
That series in particular, I think for one that was good, Halo Legends.
Halo Legends was very good.
Back in the day.
Have you seen Halo Legends at all, Joe?
I haven't. No, I haven't seen any Halo.
Okay.
I only started playing the games during lockdown.
Oh, fair.
I'm up to Halo 4. I've just finished that. That's about
And
it.
4's an okay one. I guess a bit of a bad rap,
Yeah.
but I would say it's a pretty good one. So, yeah, Halo Legends is more like the animated little series. Each episode is something completely different. A different director, a different animator. It's all... it's all quite unique, but the actual TV show that Alec has brought to the table, I probably would agree it's not a great adaptation. The dialogue is a bit weird in places. The music's very Halo-esque. I can see a lot of John Williams influences there. Is it John Williams who did Halo?
Marty O'Donnell.
Marty O'Donnell. Apologies, I don't know. John Williams was Star Wars, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bit different.
A little bit.
Okay, so that's a bad one from you, Alec. Probably listeners at home may well agree if they have seen the show as well. Going to Joe then. Joe, a bad one from you that you think hasn't made a very good transition to the screen.
I would say Doom, the 2009 mess that had The Rock in it.
Bad example, yeah.
It's just awful, no matter what way you slice it. Carl Urban can't even save that film.
It's got Carl Urban. Oh, it's a great cameo from him. It's good.
It is, but it's not a good film. It's not even so bad it's good. It's just bad. There's bad acting, bad story. Doesn't even live up to the games. I think the only similarity is that it's set on Mars, and that's it.
I don't think it draws much else from the game, does it? Although, to be honest, the actual first couple of Doom games are quite light on story. They're more gameplay, but no, I would agree. What about the really good shot in the film though, where it's first person mode, isn't it? Where
it's the last
Carl Urban's character.
Yeah, it's the last sort of 10, 20 minutes of it. I mean, it doesn't save it. It's good, but it doesn't save it.
Okay, so yeah, you mentioned the dialogue's pretty terrible. That was the early days of the Rock's acting career as well. So that's
when he was known as The Rock.
Yeah, rather than Dwayne Johnson. Yeah, exactly. That is a blast from the past. Have they made anything else on TV and film about Doom though?
They did a direct-to-video one. No one watched it.
I mean, if it on like VHS or just
it was. Well, it would have been
home video. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's called Doom Annihilation.
Never heard of it. So that might be an indicator.
Well done, Joe, for sticking with it, giving it another go. I don't think I would have bothered after the first one.
I think it was a contract thing that they had I think it was Universal just had to get it out and get it done.
Yeah, normally like they get the opportunity or the license for so long, so they either use it or lose it. Whether they just realise actually we're going to lose this license, let's just pump something out, and it was equally as dross. That's probably the case. So Doom, bad. Halo, good game but bad TV show. I think if I had to pick a bad one, now you're going to be quite upset with this one, Joe, potentially, because I know how much you love Super Mario. But maybe I might be wrong. The actual film that's animated with Chris Pratt and Charlie Day, etc., actually really liked it. No problem with that. That probably could even go in our good category for adaptations.
Definitely one of the better ones.
Yeah. What's your take on the predecessor, the live-action Super Mario film? That's my bad one.
I think it speaks volumes that it was 30 years between the two films. Just how bad that was. I mean, the cast, surprisingly, pretty good. Bob Hoskins and Dennis Hopper, brilliant actors.
Yep.
It's not Mario in any way, shape, or form. It's a dystopian film that's more like Blade Runner than it is Mario.
Bowser's not even a turtle dragon, is he?
He's not a dinosaur, is he? No. He's just a guy with bad hair.
Yeah, so it's not.
You're making this sound like it's so bad it might be good.
Have you not seen it?
I've never seen this. No.
Oh, it's
I've
like
rewatched it before
1990.
1991.
93.
I mean, it does go from bad to good, but if you're any kind of Mario fan, it's just bad.
So, what actual storyline does it follow? Because, to my knowledge, Mario doesn't really have much of a storyline apart from Peach has been stolen. Let's go save Peach.
Yeah, that's pretty much every Mario game for the last.
Is that the storyline of this film? Because it's been a while since I've watched it as well. To be honest.
Yeah, Mario and Luigi set off into another dimension because. Actually, no. Hang on a minute. Sorry.
It's fine. So the actual start of the animated one, they're working in a fictional New York. I think it's pretty much New York, isn't it?
Yeah, they're actually in the real world.
And then they go into the sewers, and then they get sucked in because
they get sucked into the mushroom.
Yeah, which obviously I don't think that happens in the live action one. But so. We've got a couple of bad ones then, but maybe it's worth actually just trying to figure out exactly why they're bad. Part of this could be box office related. Now, I think Doom did have a spell in the cinema, but I first saw it on DVD.
Snap.
Yeah. Halo was straight to
Paramount Plus.
Online stream. It was Paramount Plus. It was Paramount, yeah. So that had no
cinematic release.
Yeah, they don't really have that. Now, why couldn't they have made a film out of it? I know there was a lot of talk about Spielberg.
No, you remember there was that, back in the day, there was that trailer for Halo, a live-action Halo film that was done by, was it J.J. Abrams that did it, I think?
I think it was the bloke who did District 19. District 9, apologies, District 9. His name's Neil Blomkamp. Neil Blomkamp. Yeah, he did it.
Neil Blomkamp.
Yeah. He did make a trailer which was live action and had brutes and stuff in, but it never really came to fruition. And then 15 years later, this is the series we get. It looks good. I can't fault the Halo show on its looks. I can fault the Mario film on its looks back in the day. Is animation or looks a big factor in whether it's
successful or not? The fact that Mario is an animated franchise to begin with, or it's very kind of animation style, lends itself to an animated film a lot better, doesn't it? I mean, I don't know why you would live action that film as a start for 10.
Yeah, but, I'm still lost on that.
Well, I'll pause there on that point then you've made, Alec, about mixing animation and live action. Sonic. That is one of my good ones. I thought the Sonic films were actually not too bad.
But did you ever see the original renders for Sonic before they gave him big eyes again?
Before the uproar.
When they tried to give him make him more hyper-realistic hedgehog, effectively, yeah.
It was scary.
And everybody was up in arms about it because he just didn't look like Sonic.
Yeah, that would scare any child that went to the cinema to see it, for sure. Yeah, definitely looks a lot better now.
Yeah.
Have you both seen the Sonic film?
Yep.
I've seen it, and but the trouble is I'm a little bit biased because I forgive a lot of Sims for Jim Carrey's appearance. So
I'm exactly the same. Anything with Jim Carrey in it, I'll watch.
Yeah.
And anything Sonic related, I'll watch. So that's always going to be one of the good films for me.
Fair play. So yeah, Sonic's one of my good ones, but even though that is a mixture of live animation and live action and animation, should I say? So we've got a few bad, one good so far. Anyone else want to suggest one that's good and maybe think about why? Why is this a good adaptation from video game?
I'm going to jump straight in and say the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie. Because, oh my God, it's good. It follows the games perfectly. It's about a tournament where people kill each other and the winner rules over Earth. It's quite straightforward.
Simple storyline.
Yeah, simple storyline. It's about an hour and a half long, so it doesn't overstay its welcome.
Good.
The soundtrack is banging. It's one of the best video game movie soundtracks, I think, that I can remember.
Fair play.
And it just borders that line where it's quite cheesy, but it still kind of works.
It doesn't take itself too seriously.
Not at all.
That's always good. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek. It kind of knows what it is. It's not trying to be something else.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes other things, such as maybe Halo, what we mentioned, is trying to be a bit too serious when actually is Halo the most serious thing? It's got grunts. that are little tiny screaming, quite comical aliens, which I think they only showed it for an episode or two. Like, just don't stray away from what you're strong at, I think. Whereas, as you say, with Mortal Kombat, it kind of did a good job on what it was.
Yeah.
Was it quite gory like the game as well?
It wasn't actually, but I think they tried to balance it so it was still accessible for people. I say accessible; it's a fighting film, but like it wasn't too gory, so it didn't go into the realms of the R-rated 18 certificate.
Okay, I mean, I remember watching it on TV when I probably shouldn't have when I was a bit younger, but I don't remember getting told off for it, which makes me think it probably wasn't an 18.
I don't think it was.
Okay, so yep, a good. I mean, that actual film got not a remake, but there have been Mortal Kombat since, haven't there?
Yeah, much like Doom, they did a very quick sequel called Annihilation again. No idea why.
That's a popular name, isn't it?
Yeah, apparently for terrible video games, straight to video movies.
Mm-hmm.
Binned off the entire cast of the first film and just was awful, like really bad. But in 2020, yeah, they rebooted it properly.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they, I think it's Warner Brothers that actually own everything to do with Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
They made a really good film again.
I remember watching it on a plane, and it was slightly different. It was a bit more mature, I'd say.
Yeah, that one's a lot more violent.
Yeah,
more blood.
But then actual Mortal Kombat is become quite popular again. It's had quite a few editions of the actual games itself. I think it's just rebranded itself as Mortal Kombat 1, so there's a big fan base behind it. So I'm not surprised they went ahead and actually remade a film in 2020. So Mortal Kombat, a good adaptation. I think I probably would agree with you there, Joe. Alec, anything else that you would say has been quite successful?
I think it's hard to not point out Tomb Raider.
The film?
Not necessarily like, the films, yeah. So both the original, like 2001, 2003 Angelina Jolie franchise, and then the 2016 remakes, they all did pretty well. And like to kind of point out as well, so like Uncharted, for instance, I don't know where you guys land on Uncharted. Uncharted for me was kind of like middle of the road, didn't quite hit it, but it was an okay film.
I wouldn't say it was going to win any awards, but again, I think it knew what it was, and it was just trying to be a nice, fun summer action movie.
Yeah, but it's like somebody basically took a generic adventure action movie and then just stamped unbranded on it.
Uncharted. You probably wouldn't be able to tell it was an Uncharted film if they didn't call it Uncharted. Like, it could have been anyone, couldn't it, really?
Yeah, I don't know whether Tomb Raider is the same, and I don't know whether that's why they kind of like middle of the road just work, basically. Because I don't know how easy it is to actually satisfy fans who are interested in deep lore around things.
So,
whereas it's kind of easy to just make a film.
Yeah, I agree with that, because when I was putting my list together, there are a lot of average films. So,
yeah, that's what I found as well.
Yeah, I've actually...
Yeah, like Resident Evil, all fairly okay films.
The Hitman film that came out.
There's been a few of those.
It's just like, they're okay, but they don't... I think they try and appeal to everyone rather than just like either the fans of the game or a new audience completely.
To pick you up on that point, Joe, because that's actually a really interesting one. If they appeal to the fans and it's actually something that is quite true to the actual original material, would you say it's then generally a better adaptation? Or if they're trying to appeal to more generic, is that when it kind of falters?
I don't think you can call it an adaptation if you're not actually relying on the source material.
And I think it's a bit of...
Otherwise, it's just inspired by it.
It's a bit of both as well. So, Detective Pikachu, the Sonic movies, they're all quite close to the games themselves. So they follow similar beats. The characters have similar personalities, and they're great. So for fans, they're great, and they're more likely to...
Still good movies. Yeah.
You can tell people really cared about it to
Okay.
give the fans what they wanted. And then you've got the Resident Evil films, which are highly successful, brilliant popcorn.
Yeah, great box office hits, aren't they? Really, really successful. And there's
Have
like
nothing to do with the
7 of them,
games.
aren't there? There's 6 or 7
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah, nearly as many as versions of the game. Yeah, essentially.
Yeah. And they're rebooting it again.
What, the actual films?
Yeah. So I think it was only about a week or two ago.
Yeah.
Capcom and I want to say it's a Sony film. So Sony movies, productions, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
They confirmed that they're doing another reboot of Resident Evil as a film that's not the Mila Jovovich ones, and it's not the Welcome to Raccoon City ones.
Okay. Yeah, because
and
that was
they'll be
quite
coming out
recent as
soon.
well, wasn't it? That Raccoon City one.
So yeah, the Mila Jovovich ones had nothing to do with the games. They just had a bit of fan service. You know, Leon showed up for a film, Barry showed up occasionally, and they just got on with it. But they were highly successful.
It's weird that they're remaking another film when actually they've just, about a year ago, they introduced that Netflix series. Unfortunately, Lance Reddick, is it Lance Reddick that was the main character in it?
Yeah.
He has
he was
passed. So you kind of expect maybe a recast, or they're just dropping it completely and shifting focus to this new property, this new film. That's quite sad because the actual TV series I thought had a bit of merit. It wasn't perfect in any way.
No, not at all. But it was it was watchable.
Yeah. It wasn't true to, I would say, the original sort of storylines, but it was set in South Africa, and none of those games were set in South Africa, really.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges with all these adaptations in terms of film releases is, I don't know, typical average game, probably 50-ish hours, something like that.
Yeah, 30,
so you're trying
50,
to tell essentially 50 hours worth of story in no more than 2 hours. So it's kind of hard to draw down on all that lore, isn't it, when you're trying to set a scene and a storyline and everything else as well. So
yeah, that's actually not.
I guess that's where
a point.
Stuff like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which broadly outside obviously has loads and loads of deep lore, but it touches on enough things and enough, they do it in the right way where enough of it's kind of tongue-in-cheek nod. I guess that's where things like the Fallout series are kind of getting it right. And that they have enough nods to enough people that it wouldn't make any sense to you if you're not a fan, but it doesn't affect viewing it if you aren't, essentially.
Well, it's like Joe. So we obviously, if you haven't listened to it yet, on episode 2, this is obviously for the listeners at home, episode 2 of our podcast, we, us three, spoke about Fallout. Now, Joe, you mentioned a point in that episode about how there's things in it that, unless you're a hardcore fan, maybe you wouldn't notice. That sounds a bit similar to what Alex saying. Like the fans will spot these sort of things, but they've made it a bit more generic for people not as hardcore, maybe as you, for instance, for that franchise. So, are we saying then that for a successful adaptation from a game to a film or TV show, it kind of has to be have a broad appeal, but still quite true to its source material?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's
I think,
sum up. But
yeah, that's a fair comment.
It's I think it's just easier probably for writers and storytellers to tell stories over TV series. You see what I mean? Because like
the longer format, yeah.
That length of format just lends itself better to telling video game stories which are phased like that.
Now, one of the things I was thinking about asking you as well is casting. Now, casting obviously has a big impact on the popularity of a show because the quality of actor can sometimes do poor dialogue justice. It can make it better. It could even just bring a fan base along with it. So, for instance, Pedro Pascal in The Last of Us, he's quite popular from other properties. People would have had quite high expectations for the show just seeing him as the lead actor. Do you think he did a good job as Joel, having played the games?
I think he put his own spin on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah, I guess you could say it's probably not. Yeah, exactly true to form or verbatim. as an interpretation.
But it's enough of a difference to pull people in. So you've got Pedro Pascal. He's not quite playing the Joel that you think, is in the games, but it still works for the story that they're trying to tell.
He seems a lot like older and weaker than the one in the game. I'd say. So I'd say that I get a bit more of a leader vibe from the game Joel, but in the TV series, Pedro Pascal's portrayal of him just seems a bit more old dad with bad hearing, and it takes him ages to get up the stairs, and I don't know.
But would that be because that the game Joel it's effectively the player, so he has to be more mobile, he has to be more confident.
You can't be tired in a game, can you? So
no, otherwise you're dead. So maybe it's just that storytelling perspective that makes it that different.
Yeah. Bella Ramsey did a terrific job of portraying Ellie, and I think therefore casting can sometimes have a really big impact on whether something is successful. Just going back to some of the ones which we said that aren't successful, how has the casting impacted them? Because Doom, as you said, Joe, that's got some pretty big hitters in it.
Yeah, but I think because you've got Carl Urban, who can obviously act, he's been in pretty much any geek franchise you can name.
The Boys.
And The Boys, Lord of the Rings, Dredd.
Yeah.
You can just rattle off his CV and it's like, yeah, he's a geek through and through. And then you've got Rosamund Pike, who she's fantastic in whatever she's in. But then they're reading off a script that doesn't, it's not there. So I think you can have fantastic actors, but if you don't have the script or you don't have the direction to back it up, then things are going to fall apart.
What do you think Henry Cavill's going to make or produce out of Warhammer?
I have got no idea. He could go anywhere with
it. He's admittedly a huge fan of
massive one,
Warhammer. Yeah, and I think he's directing, right, or producing at least.
He's definitely producing. He's definitely an executive producer, but he's coming at it from a point of passion. So
so it's interesting to see what a good actor can do with a franchise they're passionate about. That is going to be quite interesting to see what happens.
Well, he for starters is a stupendous actor, absolutely stupendous. But yeah, as you say, him having that passion behind it, he won't accept anything less than his vision, will he? So
or his understanding of the canon and the lore.
Well, we saw that
exactly.
We saw that with him with The Witcher, didn't we? Because he quit the show because the writers weren't following the law.
Deviating.
It just didn't feel right to him. So if anyone can make a Warhammer thing work, it would be someone who is that dedicated to the franchise.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Jay. Definitely. I mean, having seen shots of Liam Hemsworth, he still looks pretty good. He does kind of carry it off quite well. So it may be worth me dipping my toe back in The Witcher. Again, great computer game. Obviously, source material was the books originally, but they made a decent TV show adaptation from that, especially Series 1 and 2. Yeah. Series 3 got a bit slow, but Series 1 and 2 were really, really good. And I thought they did a good job with casting there. Obviously, Henry Cavill was the main character, but even the other characters, such as is it Dandelion Jaskier? I've not seen him in anything before, but he is absolutely tremendous. And I thought he carried some episodes sometimes, even if the storyline wasn't great or it was getting a bit slow here and there. His dialogue, the way he carried himself, I thought really, really kept me watching.
Yeah, fair. Is there anything upcoming you guys are interested in? I'm pretty interested by Minecraft, to be fair, and seeing what they've done with that.
Is that a live action one or an animated one? Because they have made some live action. There's like a Netflix one, which is like a choose your own adventure sort of Minecraft film. Is it live action?
Yeah, the one with Jason Momoa and Jack Black.
Oh no, I've not seen it. Is it a
trailer for that? No? Yeah, check out something for that. It could be a fake trailer, But if it's not,
No,
I'm
no,
quite excited.
it's a big property, so I'd imagine it definitely is probably in line for a film.
Seems like a perfect kind of Jack Black setup film.
He does like to lend his fantastic voice to voice acting now, doesn't he? Because he's Bowser in Mario as well, isn't he? Does a good job at that, I think.
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, okay, fair play, Alec. I think that would be a pretty good one to look forward to. Minecraft. Anything else that you think is going to be coming out soon in terms of video game adaptations, Joe? Anything else you're looking forward to?
Well, we've got the Borderlands film coming out in August, is it?
Ooh.
Yeah,
it is the 9th. Yeah.
So, as a massive Borderlands fan, I was excited for the film, but the trailer is just not doing it for me. It looks too like Borderlands is very stupid, but with a purpose.
Yeah, very, very wacky.
Got to get Claptrap right, otherwise it's all over.
Well, it's Jack Black again, so
Is it?
perfect.
Again,
Okay, they nailed it. Move on.
He knows what he wants to get. So Claptrap's going to be brilliant.
Oh, they could have got Matt
He's got
Berry.
Kevin Hart leading the way, and I don't think Kevin Hart can.
He's Roland, isn't he? Or Roland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's just not doing it for me, if I'm honest.
I know he was in the Jumanji films, but he doesn't really strike me as a action hero sort of commanding presence on screen, which Roland in the games kind of was.
Yeah.
Or Roland in the games, should I say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting choice.
Yeah, but then you've also got Kate Blanchett, another fabulous actress,
Big star. Yeah.
and it looks like she's gonna absolutely chew that part. Yeah, she's playing Lilith, so that's
She seems a bit old for the
no.
character of Lilith. Isn't Lilith like from the game? She looks to be like like mid-30s or something, isn't she?
Yeah, but it's Kate
Don't think
Blanchett.
anybody looks over 40 in the games, to be fair. You know.
Yeah. But as we said about big star casting, that will probably be a good draw for a lot of people that are not Borderlands fans. Borderlands as a property takes a lot of inspiration from Mad Max. That has absolutely tanked at box office. Will we see something similar here?
Yeah, not done well.
Probably, but on the flip side, Furiosa is a really good film. So I think it's just swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, I need to issue a retraction of Fall Guy on my comments made in that last episode. that is a good film with a really bad trailer.
The trailer looks like it has everything in it.
Yeah, it really
this is
does.
the one with Ryan Gosling, yeah?
Yeah, and Emily Blunt. And actually, really fun comedy film. Really fun. Definitely worth watching. And what I did not realise about that film is every single stunt in that film is a practical effects stunt. So really interesting from that perspective. That literally nothing is CG, everything is practical effects. Huge stunt team, and so obviously worth going to the cinema to watch on a big screen. So, and that's had a poor showing. And like when we went to see it, there was maybe 3 viewings in the day in the middle of London. So it's like,
wow,
yeah, it's tanked off quite quick.
Is that cinemas in general? Is streaming?
I don't know. I mean, that was.
It?
I guess they tail end out films when they're not getting enough bums in seats, essentially.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a telling sign.
Okay. So we've a few things that we've said what we're looking forward to. Obviously, Borderlands. We've said Minecraft. One thing that I've heard rumours of being made, which I would be very excited about, would be BioShock.
Yeah.
A series of BioShock. Apparently, from what I've been reading, it's going to be getting the Last of Us sort of treatment. With is it HBO looking to make it?
Yeah, there seems to be like a few knocking around at the moment, or lots of stuff that's been knocking around for a long time. Because I was going through thinking about this, I was thinking, why on earth hasn't there been a Mass Effect TV film adaptation at all? And then so I googled it, obviously, and then it turns out it's been like in the works since 2000 or something like that, and it's just been an on again, off again project for a long time.
That's a massive universe to try and get into a series.
The same with Gears of War as well, and that property.
Yeah, that would be excellent. That would be excellent.
There's a lot out there, and it feels like a lot of properties are kind of in discussion, but never quite make it over the line.
Okay, perfect. Now, we probably will look to bring this topic to a close very shortly. Final comments, gentlemen. Anything that we've mentioned so far, anything in terms of video game adaptations, could you summarise what does it need to have? What does it need to be in order to be successful, whether that's box office-wise, whether that is, getting a sequel in terms of films or more series? What does it need?
It needs a creative lead that understands the background and the lore, but with the experience in the film industry to know how to tell that story to a wider audience. I think, to be very technical in my answer. And then, like we talked about, casting definitely helps. And I don't know whether or not, a particular actor's passion for, Jack Black, for instance, obviously very passionate about Super Mario Bros. And being in that film, whether that creates a clear incentive to, give their best performance or the most authentic performance for that character in that series.
Yeah, we completely agree. Joe, anything you want to add to that?
Just if you're going to make it, just pick an audience. So if you're going to make it for the fans, make sure it is entirely for the fans and everyone else is a secondary thought. Or if you're going to chase box office numbers, be upfront about it and just make it a completely different story and get on with it that way.
Like, you do sometimes see films like set in the like such and such universe. So rather than trying to be the game's story, why couldn't they just have it? For instance, like Prometheus being in the Alien universe, like you kind of know, it's going to have some similar like Weyland-Yutani, whatever they're called, things in there. Have some elements that you'd expect to see in an Alien film, but it's not Alien. So, okay, fair play. Good. Thank you for that chat. Enjoyed hearing your perspective on some of those things. Some really good TV shows you mentioned, some and films, obviously, and not so good ones. We're going to move on now, and we're going to have a look at our next segment.
We'll be right back just after this very short break.
Okay, now it's time for a bit of release window. This part of the show is where we look at all the TV shows, games and films that are coming out in the month of June. So, what have we got coming out this month? Joe, anything to look forward to?
We have got the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC finally coming out for all platforms. It is the longer-awaited additional content.
It's like an expansion pack, really, isn't it? Kind of. It's big, really big.
It's a chunky boy. Yeah, Shadow of the Erdtree is due out on the 24th of June.
24th of June.
To the release window. Yeah,
fantastic.
So that'll be fun to get back into.
Yep, so for those people that have played Elden Ring, definitely a good time to jump back in and hone your skills once more before you tackle that expansion. It is going to be the only expansion of, I believe, Elden Ring, so enjoy it. Yep. Both me and Martin on a previous episode mentioned actually that it's not actually a bad thing, because they're going to do such a good job on it. He's really positive about it being such a good expansion that it should whet the appetite for people for a while to come. And From Software, the people that make it, will undoubtedly go on to make something new and something just as good. They've got a good track record. So looking forward to seeing what they do with this expansion. Alec, anything else coming out in the month of June?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit last time. Destiny 2, the final shape, comes out, I think, in 7 days now. It launches.
So from the recording of this podcast, but actually a similar sort of time of release, I believe. So probably the week in which we release this podcast, Destiny 2's new expansion will be out.
It's out now. Go and play it.
It's out now. So are we both looking forward to playing this, gentlemen?
Yeah, I've got a bit too overexcited again and got way back into Destiny in the last week. or two since we last spoke, and blasted through.
I've seen you on quite a lot, yeah.
Yeah, blasted through like 65 levels, mostly on backbone actually, which has been interesting. To be fair. But
Okay.
still playable.
Yeah. Now this is a topic which we'll probably look to go into a bit more detail. Probably for those people who love Destiny, but like maybe myself have fallen off in recent years. It's going to be a sort of catch me up, maybe, and maybe what you need to A, do, or B, know to get you ready for the next adventure within the Destiny universe. So yeah, look out for that. That hopefully will be something we do within the next couple of weeks. One thing that I'm looking forward to within the month of June in terms of games is definitely going to be Super Monkey Ball Bananarama. Now,
yes.
On the Nintendo GameCube, I don't often swear on this podcast, I played the absolute shit out of Super Monkey Ball. I love me some Super Monkey Ball. I cannot wait to download that and play that with my wife. Did you both have the pleasure of playing that game when I was going to say when you were younger, because it came out 8 years and years ago, didn't it?
Oh yeah, I can remember. It was.
I think I did, but not from memory. Not a huge Super Monkey Ball guy.
There's been lots of like spin-offs of different types of games, but essentially, it's a bit like Marble Blast or whatever you want to call it. You're inside a ball and you're a monkey, and you're just trying to navigate these different platforming courses, but it's very, very addictive. Very addictive. Do you think you'll pick it up, Jay?
Yeah, definitely. I got the first game as a launch game for the GameCube. That's pretty much when that's when I got introduced to it.
Like 20 years ago,
from day
isn't
one.
it?
Yeah. Not my memory is not what it used to be, but I remember, playing the absolute bananas off it.
Literally, it is called Banana Rumbles, so I will be joining you round yours for a game very soon.
Definitely.
In terms of films coming out this month, gentlemen, we've got Bad Boys. Ride or Die. Are we going to go see the Martin Lawrence, Will Smith masterpiece?
I waited for the last one to come out on streaming services, and I think I'll probably do the same again.
Yeah, no cinema release for you. Okay, fair enough.
I'll be at the cinema.
Yeah?
Definitely going to be seeing that one. Big fan of the...
It does strike me as a cinema
series.
sort of film.
Yeah. Being the IMAX as big as you can get it.
Great shout.
With all the explosions that are bound to happen. It's going to be fantastic.
Awesome. So that's Bad Boys. That's coming out this month as well. We also got Inside Out 2, if you're an animation fan. That was a very good Disney... Is it Disney Pixar, I believe?
Yeah, it's a Pixar film.
Yeah, that first one was pretty good. Didn't expect a lot from it, and actually did kind of impress me. So that should be a good sequel to the first animated version of that film. Other things to look forward to within films this month as well. Have you both seen A Quiet Place with Emily Blunt and John Krasinski?
Yep.
Well, there's a new film coming out, and it has neither of them in it. So... yeah, it's called Day One, which could be quite interesting because the actual premise of A Quiet Place, having zombies that hear, not see you, but hear you.
Aliens.
Aliens, yeah. Creatures that are sent to you by sound only.
Zombie alien.
Zombie aliens. It's got quite an interesting backstory and lore to it, so I'll be interested to see how they do justice to that with this prequel, essentially. That's coming out this month. Moving on to TV. This is a very, very good month for TV. I'm sure you'll both agree with me, gentlemen. We've got... Are you ready for this?
Go on, then.
I'll take that as a yes. We've got The Boys Series 4 coming out on Amazon Prime. I cannot wait. It's going to be so good.
You know it's going to be absolutely diabolical.
It's going to be grotty and rude, but yeah, love it. That's what it is. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's got that wonderful Carl Urban, as we mentioned earlier, in as well. So that's going to be fantastic.
He's in everything.
And Giancarlo Esposito, the bad dude from Breaking Bad. He's in it as well, isn't he? So he's got some big stars. Really
he's the bad guy in everything.
He loves being a bad guy. I'm pretty sure he's a bad guy in Far Cry 6 as well, wasn't he?
He is, and in Star Wars.
Yeah. Moving on, excitement levels lifted once more. Disney Plus will have Star Wars: The Acolyte.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
That's
thought you would be.
that's just going to be incredible. It's Jedi samurais lightsabering other Jedi samurais, and it's just going to be all kinds of brutal.
Is it its own thing?
Yeah, I think
Is it a
it's
spin-off?
I think it's set way, way in the past. I think it's when the Jedi Order is starting to become a thing.
So we're not going to be seeing like Yoda pop up at any point or anything,
We
no?
might actually see a baby Yoda if it's in the right time period, but probably not.
Is it a real baby Yoda or is it a baby Grogu?
It'll be
Who knows?
It'll be a baby Yoda.
Yeah, that'd be quite cool. Fingers crossed.
It looks
Yeah,
quite
the
good.
Acolyte. I've seen a trailer. It does look pretty interesting. I will definitely give it a couple of episodes and see how it goes. Moving on, we have mentioned Game of Thrones previously, but House of Dragon Series 2 is coming out on HBO Max and Now TV, so definitely be sure to check that out if you're a fan of that series. And finally, actually, the one I am most excited about, not sure whether it's both your cup of teas, but The Bear.
Yeah, I watched the previous 2 seasons, really enjoyed it. I'm interested to see where they take it. They kind of like the first series and the second series are the kind of obvious-ish narrative with some nice twists in it. Interesting
Yeah,
to see
where's he going to go with the restaurant next? Yeah, that's a good point. Very, very different to the other shows with which we've mentioned. But yeah, actually, The Bear, great character piece. If you haven't seen it, Disney Plus, watch it. It is awesome. It will give you a panic attack. And if you've ever worked in a kitchen, which I know me and Alec have, we've worked in, was it Giraffe, Alec? And Witherspoons, obviously, yeah. We've done a couple of things together. Yeah, it will be definitely some panic-inducing memories of your time within the service industry. It's very stressful, but a beautiful character-driven show. So, that's the highlights for June, and that is your release window. Right, there we have it. That is your release window for June. Now, thank you very much for joining us for this episode on our look at video game adaptations. And I will have to say a big thank you to our 2 guests. So, Alec and Joe, again, second time in the podcast. Very, very good to have you both here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Good to chat.
Can I expect to see you again?
Maybe.
Yeah, if there's another podcast about adaptations from something to another thing, I think me and Joe are growing quite an expertise in that.
Yeah.
You definitely showed it within this episode, so thank you very much. Now, our next episode, I believe, will be more D&D themed, but after that, well, you can expect some more TV, gaming, and film-based content coming very soon. Again, be sure to follow us on both YouTube and Twitch. We are going to be doing Friday night gaming streams going forward. Looking forward to having you with us on an episode real soon. Thank you again, and goodbye, Alec and Joe. It's been wonderful having you.
Catch you later.
Peace.
Bye.